We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US strikes against 3 alleged drug boats in international waters, killed 3 people. Death toll in Washington's campaign reaches 110. Russia downs Ukrainian drones headed for Moscow on New Year's Eve. Restrictions on airports imposed, while Zelenskyy denies to sign any weak deal to end conflict. Trump removes the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles and Portland, says federal forces will come back if crime rates go up. And the world welcomes 2026 with great celebrations and fireworks. Devotees in India flock to temples to seek blessings on the first day of the year. And moving on to the details now, the U.S. military announced on Wednesday that 3 people were killed in strikes on 3 alleged drug boats in international waters, bringing the death toll in Washington's campaign to at least 110. Now, U.S. Southern Command said the strikes on Tuesday targeted 3 narco-trafficking vessels traveling as a convoy. All 3 people killed were on one boat. The exact location of the strikes was not immediately made clear. Previous strikes have taken place in the Caribbean or the Eastern Pacific. The military said that the targeted vessels were operated by designated terrorist organizations that it did not identify. The military said it had notified the Coast Guard to activate the search and rescue system. Since September, the U.S. military has carried out more than 30 such strikes on what it says are boats used to smuggle drugs to the United States without providing any concrete evidence that the targeted boats are involved in trafficking. Also, in recent months, U.S. President Donald Trump has waged a pressure campaign against Venezuela's leftist president, Nicolas Maduro, accusing him of running a drug cartel. Maduro denies the allegation and has accused Washington of seeking regime change to gain access to the Latin American country's massive oil reserves. And U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday his administration was removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles and Portland, but he added in a social media post that federal forces will come back if crime rates go up. Local leaders in those cities and Democrats have said the deployments, which have faced legal challenges, were unnecessary. They've accused the Trump administration of federal overreach and of exaggerating isolated episodes of violence at mostly peaceful protests to justify sending in troops. Trump has said troop deployments in Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Memphis and Portland were necessary to fight crime and protect federal property and personnel from protesters. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court on December 23rd blocked Trump's attempt to deploy National Guard troops in Illinois, a ruling that undercut his legal rationale for sending soldiers to other states. Well, Russia had alleged that Ukraine carried out a drone attack on Russian President Vladimir Putin's residence in the Novgorod region, although they did not say where he was at that time. Now, on Wednesday, the Defense Ministry published a video of a downed drone that it claimed was used to conduct the offensive. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said on Wednesday his country was 10% away from a deal to end the conflict with Russia, but cautioned that the most important issues were unresolved and warned against rewarding Moscow. In his New Year's Eve address, Zelenskyy said his country wanted an end to the conflict, but not at any cost and that any agreement needed strong security guarantees to deter Russia from invading again. Zelenskyy said in the address that the peace agreement is 90% ready, 10% remains, and that is far more than just numbers.
Чого хоче Україна?
What does Ukraine want? Peace? Yes. At any cost? No. We want the end of the war, not the end of Ukraine. Are we tired? Extremely. Does that mean we are ready to surrender? Those who think so are deeply mistaken. Ukraine does not need a Minsk-style, meticulously drafted trap. Signatures under weak agreement only fuel war. My signature will be under a strong agreement. And that is exactly what every meeting, every call, every decision is about right now. To secure a strong peace for everyone.
Не потрібно.
President Vladimir Putin urged Russians to believe in victory in Ukraine during his annual New Year's Eve address, his fourth since the conflict began. Well, the Russian leader has consistently told his citizens that the military intends to seize the rest of Ukrainian land he has proclaimed as Russian by force if talks fail. And after a ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia, 18 Cambodian soldiers have been released. The men had been held as prisoners of war for about 5 months after being captured during earlier border clashes. Their return comes just days after a new ceasefire brought an end to weeks of intense fighting along the border. Both nations have agreed to freeze troop movements and allow civilians to return to areas affected by the clashes. More in this report.
Cheering crowds welcomed 18 Cambodian soldiers home on Wednesday. Their release by Thailand follows a renewed ceasefire, signalling an easing of tensions between the two Southeast Asian neighbors.
The 18 soldiers are our Cambodian blood. They sacrificed their lives for our motherland and our people. So I am very happy to come here. From my heart, I have nothing else to give them but my congratulations on their release.
The handover was delayed by a day over Thai concerns over alleged violations of the ceasefire, but took place after sustained Chinese diplomatic pressure to ensure the deal holds. A decades-old border dispute between the Southeast Asian countries erupted into military clashes several times this year. The latest round of fighting in December killed dozens of people and displaced more than 1 million others. The Southeast Asian neighbors agreed to halt fighting at noon on Saturday, ending about 20 days of clashes. Saturday's deal had seen both sides agree to freeze the front lines where they are now, ban reinforcements, and allow civilians living in border areas to return as soon as possible. The captivity of 18 Cambodian soldiers since July during an earlier round of deadly clashes has inflamed nationalist sentiment in Cambodia, their release being one of the main demands of its government in the ceasefire talks with Thailand. Cambodian Defense Ministry said the soldiers were transferred at a border checkpoint on Wednesday after 155 days in Thai custody. The governor of Cambodia's Battambang province, Suk Lau, described the returnees as heroic soldiers. On Wednesday, Thailand's foreign ministry said the release of the soldiers was a demonstration of goodwill and that it hopes Cambodia would reciprocate this goodwill through its concrete actions.
We think at the current moment we can manage to deal with the situation bilaterally. Should the need arise, Thailand and Cambodia should consult each other first and then ask. And then China said that it is ready to provide assistance if needed.
The border clashes flared up again this month after a previous ceasefire deal brokered by US President Donald Trump and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim collapsed. The clashes, which have also seen Thailand launch airstrikes along the border, are the most serious since the ceasefire was agreed in July. Bangkok and Phnom Penh have also agreed to freeze troop movements and cooperate on demining their 800-kilometer disputed border. In the long term, the two sides will need to resolve their long-standing dispute over how to demarcate an 800-kilometer section of their joint border. The disagreement dates back to the early 1900s when France occupied Cambodia. Cambodia and Thailand previously clashed over the same frontier between 2008 and 2011. The disputed border zone is home to three 1,000-year-old temples built by the Khmer Empire. The most famous of the three, Priya Vihar, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the subject of a famous 1962 International Court of Justice case between Thailand and Cambodia. The ICJ ruled in Cambodia's favor in 1962 and again in 2013. Bureau Report, DD India.
And time now for a short break. We'll be back in a while.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on. Bangladesh bid an emotional farewell to former Prime Minister Begum Khaleda Zia with a state funeral in Dhaka on Wednesday. Hundreds of thousands gathered to honour the BNP chairperson and the country's first woman Prime Minister. National and international leaders attended the funeral, paying tribute to her decade-long political legacy.
Former Bangladesh Prime Minister and Bangladesh Nationalist Party chairperson Begum Khaleda Zia was laid to rest on Wednesday following a state funeral. Hundreds of thousands of mourners gathered at Manik Mia Avenue in Dhaka to pay their final respects.
This is a big time loss for us, for the country as well, and we have lost a great leader, President Zia Rahman's wife, Begum Khaleda Zia. She was unconditionally a great leader. I don't think someone else can fill that gap.
Her namaz-e-janaza was attended by Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus, members of the interim government, BNP leaders and representatives of other political parties. Foreign dignitaries including India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and envoys from several South and Southeast Asian countries were also present. Dr. Jaishankar met BNP acting chairman Tariq Rahman and conveyed condolences on behalf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the people of India. Khaleda Zia's body was taken to the Parliament complex with full state honours as Dhaka witnessed scenes of nationwide mourning. BNP Standing Committee member Nazrul Islam Khan read out a brief live sketch on behalf of the party. BNP acting chairman and her elder son Tariq Rahman appealed to the gathering to pray for his mother before the funeral prayers, which were held at 3:02 p.m. Khaleda Zia passed away on Tuesday at the age of 80 after a prolonged illness. The interim government declared 3 days of national mourning. Following the janaza, Khaleda Zia was buried beside her husband, former President Ziaur Rahman, at Sher-e Bangla Nagar in the capital. Rabindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
Well, on 1st of January in 2015, a significant shift in India's policy framework took shape with the formation of Niti Aayog. Here's a report. Let's take a look.
Niti Aayog was constituted through a resolution of the Union Cabinet, replacing the Planning Commission and marking a decisive move towards cooperative and competitive federalism. Designed as a policy think tank of the Government of India, Niti Aayog aims to foster inclusive growth by involving states as equal partners in national development. It emphasizes bottom-up planning, evidence-based policy making, and outcome-oriented governance. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Niti Aayog has played a key role in shaping long-term development strategies, aligning governance with innovation, sustainability, and India's evolving socio-economic needs. From policy reforms to development, Niti Aayog continues to serve as a catalyst for transformative change in India's growth journey. With a vision of self-reliant and future-ready India, Niti Aayog remains central to the nation's policy architecture.
Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
Well, today the nation marks the 68th Foundation Day of the Defence Research and Development Organisation, formed in 1958 to build India's indigenous defence technology. As the country celebrates DRDO's achievements, the occasion also highlights the vital role of defence research and innovation in safeguarding India's strategic future. Take a look at this special report.
Now, +1, +2, and counting up.
The Defence Research and Development Organisation marks its 68th Foundation Day on January 1st. Established in 1958, with just a handful of laboratories, DRDO has grown into a powerhouse of innovation, now operating over 50 labs and driving cutting-edge technologies for our armed forces. DRDO over the years has created world-class platforms giving India strategic autonomy. It has done through robust research and development facilities and is pioneering an ecosystem that will enable Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Now,
the Integrated Air Defence Weapon Systems, QR-SAMs, VSHORARs, Directed Energy Weapons, Advanced Surface Wave, Over-the-Horizon Radar, and new man-portable autonomous underwater vehicles for mine countermeasures. The key milestones include the successful long-duration test of the scramjet combustion engine in April, running over 1000 seconds, a critical step towards hypersonic weapons that places India amongst the elite global club. DRDO also demonstrated free space quantum secure communications over 1 kilometer in June, paving the way for unbreakable cyber security. DRDO offered 28 weapon systems for emergency procurement and deepened private sector partnerships, transferring technologies for light tanks, artillery ammunition, and more. Looking ahead, DRDO 2.0 is shifting focus to next generation technologies, directed energy weapons, photonics, quantum systems, and artificial intelligence.
Future wars will not be fought by platforms alone. They'll be fought by systems. Systems are being created by DRDO along with the private sector, and DRDO is spearheading this mission of Atmanirbhar Bharat. With camera person Shubham, this is Colonel Danvi for DD India.
And on to some business news now. 2025 has been a golden chapter for India's expanding economic journey. With major free trade agreements, India has been at forefront in strengthening its trade ties with Europe and Gulf nations, while negotiations are ongoing with many nations, including Australia, US and Canada.
Global trade is being reshaped by geopolitics, shifting supply chains and new economic priorities. In this changing landscape, India has stepped forward not just as a large market, but as a decisive global trade player. 2025 marks a historic year as India expanded trade partnerships to boost growth, create jobs, and secure its economic future. The first major agreement came in July. India concluded a comprehensive economic trade agreement giving duty-free access to about 99% of India's export to the UK. Nearly 100% of Indian goods such as textiles, leather, marine products, gems and jewellery, toys, engineering products, chemicals, agri-products will enter the UK market at zero duty. India has opened 89.5% of its tariff line covering 91% of UK's export. Only 24.5% of UK's export will enjoy immediate duty-free market access. India has safeguarded sensitive sectors like dairy, cereal, millets, pulses, certain essential oils, apples, certain vegetables, gold jewellery and lab-grown diamonds. With Oman, India signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement on 18 December, strengthening its economic engagement with the Gulf region. Oman has granted zero-duty access on more than 98% of its tariff lines, covering nearly all of India's exports by value. The agreement unlocks the service sector, labour-intensive sectors such as textiles, leather, gems and jewelleries, footwear, engineering goods, plastic, furniture, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, medical devices and automobiles will enjoy vertically universal duty-free entry into the Omani market. Trade and economic partnership agreement signed between India and European Free Trade Association came into effect from October 2025, marking India's first FTA with 4 developed European nations. TIPA commits $100 billion in investments and 1 million direct jobs over 15 years. EFTA covers 92.2% of tariff lines, while India covers 82.7%, protecting key sectors like dairy, soya, coal and agriculture. New Zealand and India concluded negotiations on free trade agreements on 22nd of December, covering goods, services and economic cooperation. FTA eliminates duty on 100% of Indian exports. The two nations cover a commitment of $20 billion investments over 15 years, strengthening long-term economic and strategic cooperation. India has protected its key interest in dairy and agriculture. India is steadfasting its trade agreements with Israel, United States, Australia, Canada, Mexico, European Union, ASEAN, and Gulf Cooperation Council. Year 2025 solidified India's assertive role in global trade, leveraging its strong economic growth to forge strategic partnerships and drive inclusive development. With Bureau inputs, Tripti Tripathi report for DD India.
And now it's time to look at New Year celebrations from around the globe. President Draupadi Murmu conveyed her heartfelt greetings and best wishes to the citizens across the country and abroad. In a message, President Murmu said, and I quote, "On the joyous occasion of New Year, I extend my heartiest greetings and best wishes to all Indians in the country and abroad. The New Year symbolizes renewed energy and positive change. It is also an opportunity for self-reflection and fresh resolutions. On this occasion, let us further strengthen our commitment to the nation's development, social harmony and environmental protection. May the year 2026 bring peace, happiness and prosperity into our lives and infuse new energy to build a stronger and more prosperous India," unquote. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his New Year greetings to the countrymen. Sharing on X, he wrote, and I quote, "Wishing everyone a wonderful 2026. May the year ahead bring good health and prosperity with success in your efforts and fulfillment in all that you do. Praying for peace and happiness in our society," unquote. Well, the world celebrated New Year with zeal and sheer joy as millions welcomed a fresh start. Across continents and cultures, 2026 began united in joy and anticipation. Well, India rang in the new year with joy and enthusiasm as people across cities and towns came together to welcome fresh beginnings. From bustling metropolitan hubs to scenic hill stations, celebrations were marked by gatherings, events and public festivities.
We're going to rock and to dance. Ye dil deewana karta.
Well, devotees across India flocked to temples to seek blessings of the Supreme Power and seen offering prayers on the first day of 2026. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here at DD India is wishing everyone a very happy new year.